At UMC, access to your health care is only a call away. Dial 74-NURSE for free, instant medical advice from experienced and trusted UMC nurses, 24 hours a day. Learn more at umchealthsystem.com.
And welcome in everyone to RedRaiders.com. I'm Zach Long with Don Williams and Krista Pirtle, and this is the UMC Health System AJ Media pregame show as we get you ready for Texas Tech's journey to the lovely state of West Virginia, where they take on Dana Holgorsen and the Mountaineers. Guys, I don't know about you, but I am uber jazzed to see one of America's craziest yet most scenic areas. Don, I know you're excited. You love West Virginia.
I've never been there, so I'll be interested to see not only West Virginia, but also we're going to Pittsburgh, flying into Pittsburgh. So there should be a nice little drive down from Pittsburgh down to Morgantown. And Zach, you just bought a new bow. You're the hunter. You should take your bow to Pennsylvania and West Virginia, do a little hunting while we're there on Friday.
Did that go on the plane?
Some crap about the TSA. They get all touchy when you bring a archery on the plane.
Just tell them, just declare it. Can I bring my bow, sir? Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm sure the West Virginia mascot.
Braid your hair.
Yeah, I'm sure the West Virginia mascot could point me in the direction of a few critters to kill and grill. Krista, the Tech players were kind of prepping us, especially Brandon Jackson. It's going to be a little bit of a festive environment inside the old Mountaineer Stadium there.
Oh yeah, he said the first thing they're going to smell when they get off the plane is beer. He said they were rowdy. He grew up right near West Virginia, so I really think this is going to be the most rowdy opposing crowd that Texas Tech has faced. Kansas, not really. SMU, not so much. So this is going to be a really good road test for the Red Raiders.
Other than being at 11 a.m., should be a pretty good environment for a football game. Before we move on to Texas Tech and West Virginia, let's take a look back at some successes for Texas Tech through the season and things that have made them do what they've done so far. We're calling this Tale of the Tape as we look at some pieces of film here that might give some indication as to the Red Raiders' success. Krista, what stands out to you?
Jakeem Grant and his cross pattern that he ran for the touchdown. What's cool about this, we talked about Jay Samara being in matchup nightmare. What happens is he runs almost a slant route. He takes his guy and the attention of the two linebackers with him. Jakeem takes one or two steps, hesitates, then runs across the safety that's on him, just goes right by and beats everybody, is open for the touchdown. I think that Jace, he's big, he's huge, he can take you out. That matched with Jakeem, who's quick and fast, is really a tough thing to prep for.
If you do not bump Jakeem Grant within that 5 yards you're allowed to hit him,
Toast.
There's not many people, especially a poor linebacker who is going to be able to run.
It was a safety, though, that was chasing him.
And he looked like a linebacker because he was huffing and puffing behind him as Jakeem was motoring his way into the end zone. Don, you've looked at a lot of film. What stands out to you as an indicator of the Red Raiders' success?
I think, to me, obviously the biggest difference between the team this year and last year is the play of the defense. And I think it starts up front. The front seven's been fantastic. The pass rush in particular has been very impressive, and I'm impressed by some of the blitz packages that Matt Wallerstedt comes up with. He has these guys running quite a few twists and stunts, and you've seen pressure from different directions. Defensive ends or outside linebackers coming, twisting, looping, coming up the middle for sacks. You saw Jackson Richards that play against TCU where he's lined up inside, twists outside, and he's right in the passing lane for an interception. And he's not afraid to. We saw last week against Iowa State, Matt Wallerstedt not afraid to even bring a corner blitz. In this case, it didn't work. Bruce Jones blitzed from the corner, and Iowa State broke it for a 38-yard run. But by and large, it's been very productive pressure on the quarterback and very disruptive work by the Red Raider front seven this season.
Yeah, those are, like they've said, they would rather go down fighting than setting on their heels trying to prevent something from happening, and that's an attitude that's worked out well for them so far.
Mike Smith played in a bend but don't break style defense, and he detests it. He loathes it, and said, "We're not going to do that here. We're going to bring pressure, and they've been true to their word, I think, this season.
And as we turn our attention to Texas Tech and West Virginia, it's not a secret at all in West Virginia culture. They have some unique ways of celebrating, and one of them over there is they will light a couch or two on fire when they get fired up about a big Mountaineer win. So to pay tribute to our good friends in West Virginia, I thought it would be applicable to have ourselves a couch fire countdown, guys. I'm going to read some subject matters here, and then you're going to tell me kind of a true or false scale by telling me how many couch fires it leads up to for your confidence on these subject matters. Do you think you can do this for me?
Okay. You confused me, Zach, but you explained it to me, and you said, okay, the more, think of it as true, false, the more couch fires we give it, that means true. If we give it 5 couch fires, that means true. If we give it only 1 couch fire, that means false, by and large, right?
Because the more success the Mountaineers have, the more crap that gets lit on fire in the Morgantown vicinity.
How can these people afford to do that?
Hey, you know what? Maybe there's a good couch depot in Morgantown, and you sell a good couch, you light one up. In other words, you want to be rich, be a furniture salesman in Morgantown, West Virginia. You're going to be in business for years and years down the road. Don, let's get it started here first. I'm going to start with you. The Texas Tech offense will struggle like Oklahoma State did against West Virginia.
Well, Oklahoma State only scored 21 points against West Virginia. I'm going to give this one a 3.
3 couch fires.
I'm sorry, I'm just kind of right down the middle on this one. Texas Tech offensively has been very good at times, and obviously, and of course, they've struggled some at times, and they've had games like last week where they scored 42 points, and they've had games like TCU where they scored 20. I think they're making strides offensively. I'm more impressed with what they're doing week to week, but playing in a place like West Virginia where you have a tough crowd brought to bear, that'll make it a little more difficult. So, I can see it going either way.
Krista, how many fires are you lighting?
I'm exactly with Don. 3. He pretty much said it best, so we'll leave it at that.
There you go. It's what happens when you follow Don. It's a horrible challenge because the guy talks so completely and gets every angle.
We'll let Krista answer the next one.
All right, we're going to switch it up here. Don, you camera hog. Tech defense will rack up 3 or more sacks against West Virginia. Krista?
I'm going to go with 4 on this one. I think that a big thing for West Virginia, they've rotated 3 quarterbacks this season. Each one of them has played 2 games. Each one of them has won 1 game. 2 of them are banged up. So I think that a focus for the Tech defense should be go in, pressure that quarterback, because if you hit an injured one or one that's not as injured and he gets banged up, they don't have many more options that are really, truly healthy.
Don, you got the right guard underarm spray and a match in your hand. How many are you lighting on this one?
I'm just going to go 3 again on this one because I think 3 or more sacks, that's probably a good over-under number. West Virginia, though, is giving up 2 sacks a game. They've allowed 12 in 6 games. Tech is close to an average of 3. The defense has 16 sacks in 6 games, so I think it's kind of a coin flip on whether they get 3 or more sacks.
Don, right back to you. We move to a little bit more of a wide subject matter here. Texas Tech will lose 3 or more games this football season.
I'll say 5 on this one.
Oh, boy.
5 means solidly true, unfortunately. Tech has already pretty much reached my preseason projection, which was they would be 6-6 or 7-5 in the regular season. I'm very impressed. I'm impressed with what they've done so far. I'm impressed again with what they've done defensively, and then offensively, what Cliff Kingsbury has been able to do with playing true freshman quarterbacks. But this is a tough schedule going forward. You got a road game this week at a tough place. Baylor with what they do offensively is a huge challenge. Oklahoma at Norman is a big challenge, and then Texas. Even though Texas has struggled, you got to play the Longhorns in Austin. And Zach, we remember from a trip down there a couple of years ago when Mac Brown just pounded Tech with Joe Bergeron and Malcolm Brown.
Power running game all day.
Now you have Jonathan Gray, so that'll be a big test. At the end for how good this defense is stopping the run, which they haven't had a whole lot of. They haven't faced a whole lot of prolific running backs so far. So I still think if Tech gets to 9-3, that will be a terrific season for this team, given what the expectations were at the beginning.
Krista, Don's burning down the holler. Are you with him on that one?
I am just 1 couch short, though. I'll save 1. I'm at 4. Exactly like he's saying, they've faced an easy schedule up to here. You can argue SMU was tough. On paper, they look tough, not really. TCU not showing up to their potential that people thought they would show up to. So they haven't really faced any challenges. West Virginia will be a good test to see how far they go before they can travel to Norman to take on Oklahoma. So I'm not sure, but also, who knows? You can go in and take it at Norman and Austin, but it'll depend a lot on the defense and how well the offense meshes.
Krista, right back at you here on a subject Don and I got in a pretty good spat over yesterday on Don versus Twitter. Michael Brewer, Baker Mayfield, and Davis Webb will all be on campus next fall.
1.
No confidence at all.
No, because I think with these guys, with their talent, Baker walked onto a program. Davis, is already there. And then Michael Brewer, I think that they want to be playing football. They don't want to just be like, hey, I got some free Under Armour gear, I'm on the football team. They aren't like that to pick up chicks. They're on this team to play football. And so I think that I could see Michael Brewer pulling a Garrett Gilbert and going to SMU when that's done. That could happen. Not saying that it will, but I just think that having 3 really good quarterbacks on one team isn't going to bode well for their futures.
If Under Armour gear gets you more chicks, I probably need to get some more Under Armour gear.
But you would have to play football and be athletic.
Well, I am neither of those subject matters.
Have you seen Zach run? The guys run half marathons.
If there's
before.
law enforcement behind me, I run fast. Don Williams, I know you and I got into this yesterday. What are your thoughts on all 3 of those guys remaining on Texas Tech's roster going into next football season?
If 5 couch fires is solidly true, then I say 5 couch fires on this one. I think you guys are a little bit unduly alarmed, at least at this stage of the game. I mean, we don't even know from week to week now which one of these 3 guys is going to trot out there. And I don't think there's enough separation among Mayfield, Brewer, and Davis Webb for one of these guys to bolt and want to transfer. And again, I still think at this time next year they will be close enough that I don't think you'll have one of these 3 guys start all 12 games next year. I think the separation between them is so little, so limited right now that this is going to take maybe a couple of years to shake itself out.
And for me, the reason I was on that subject yesterday is that Mayfield and Webb are the same class. They're both freshmen. I just don't see both of them surviving a career at Texas Tech without their competitive nature finally going, you know what, I want to play the game. I'm going to go play it somewhere else because I want to someday play it at the next level. And like Cliff Kingsbury himself said, he'd love to play all of them, but only one person can play that position. I just don't see him lasting, Don. I think someone will jump ship.
Well, again, at some point that could be true. I just don't think it's going to be by next fall because, again, I think by next August, all 3 of these guys realistically are going to have a chance to be Texas Tech's starting quarterback because you know how Cliff Kingsbury is, and I think rightly so. At the end of spring, there's nothing that says after 15 practices in the spring you have to name a starter, and he will let those guys compete again next summer, let them compete again in August, and again, I think very well we could be sitting here this time next year going, who's going to be Texas Tech's quarterback this week? Mayfield, Webb, Brewer.
But the difference is we could talk to them next year. So that would also be
Hey,
nice.
we would be very happy to see them survive to the spring so we could actually talk to those quarterbacks and hear what they think about this whole process. Time will tell with that one. That's going to wrap up our Couch Fire Countdown. I did enjoy that. Thank you for humoring me on that subject matter, guys. We're going to be right back here on the UMC Health System AJ Media pregame show, Texas Tech versus West Virginia.
For complete coverage of Texas Tech football on your iPad, download the Game Day app from AJ Media. Full coverage of each game with in-depth stories and videos. Find rosters, depth charts, and stats to get you ready each week. Also, recruiting coverage from Reckham 24/7. The Game Day app from AJ Media.
And welcome back, everyone, to the UMC Health System AJ Media pregame show as we get you ready to go for Texas Tech versus West Virginia. Before we get into picking that game, let's take a look at the Big 12 Conference, which now every week is pretty much going to be in a death battle, and we're all thinking of the perception that we're not going to see a team survive this league undefeated right now. Let's get started first with the preseason conference favorite, Oklahoma State, playing host to TCU, Krista.
Oklahoma State will get this one done. They'll move to 5-1 on the season, one game closer to a bowl game.
TCU gave Oklahoma everything it could handle 2 weeks ago. I think that team has gotten a little bit better, but I'm like you, offensive weaponry for Oklahoma State, Don. That's the key for me. I think Oklahoma State gets out of there with a win.
Yeah, same thing here, particularly with Oklahoma State. Being at home, TCU, like you said, gave Oklahoma everything it wanted in Norman. Was fortunate last week, I think, with the schedule because they got to play Kansas coming off that tough game that they had poured a lot of emotion into at OU. So I think TCU's kind of had a little time to recover from the Oklahoma loss, but I don't think the Horned Frogs can pull it off in Stillwater.
Krista, an Oklahoma team goes into Kansas, and they've got some severe issues right now.
Yes, but I think they're going to be fired up after that loss to Texas and Case McCoy. What is that? I think Oklahoma will get things done in Kansas to try to get their game plan back together so that they can be prepared to face Texas Tech in 2 weeks.
I like the fight that KU has, but my goodness gracious, their offense is just horrible at times. I just don't think Oklahoma's defense is going to allow that much damage to where they can't outscore them, Don.
Yeah, Oklahoma could probably hold these guys to single digits. So if you do that, you're going to go win in Lawrence Sooners.
Next up, Iowa State at a now much less frightening-looking Baylor team, Krista.
Let's see if they can catch the ball this week. But I still think that Baylor will get it done on homecoming.
Yeah, I love Paul Rhodes, great guy, but Iowa State cannot outscore Baylor. Their defense may limit them a tad. They will not outscore them, Don.
Yeah, same thing here. I think if this were in Ames, I'd give Iowa State a little bit of a shot to hang the first loss on Baylor, but I don't think they'll do it in Waco.
Of course, some teams off, so a abbreviated slate for the Big 12, so that moves us on to the game at hand. Texas Tech travels into West Virginia. Of course, right now, Don, they are ranked number 16 in the Associated Press poll, if that matters much to you. Dana Holgerson, of course, another one of those long line of Leach-esque disciples. Very familiar with Cliff Kingsbury. This, another week where Cliff looks across the sidelines and sees a former coach, and someone who he mentioned this week is giving him a start in this coaching industry. Really got him to come back to the University of Houston and get rolling there. This is a very tough game to predict, a very unpredictable West Virginia team. Krista, I'm going to start with you. How do you see this game playing out?
Closer than people will expect. The betting lines right now is that Tech is going to win at 7. I'm going to say they're going to win it in 4, 24-20. It's going to be very close, just out of reach of the field goal. It's going to be interesting to see how quickly Tech gets out to a fast start. And if they can start out fast and keep West Virginia down, the Mountaineers have no chance.
If you go back and look at 2 weeks of game tape on the West Virginia, and you watch the Maryland game and then the Oklahoma State game, I have no idea what the true identity of this football team is. I have to go off of what I think in terms of a matchup situation. I love Clint Trickett for West Virginia. That is one tough kid. However, Texas Tech's defense has given me no reason to doubt them in any way, shape, or form. I think when it comes down to it, Tech's defense is going to limit West Virginia. I do not think they can hit some of the pot shots that they hit against a susceptible Baylor defense. And I think, once again, Texas Tech's offensive weaponry, you have to pick your poison. One of them is going to get loose, whether it be Jay Samar, Jakeem Grant, or Eric Ward, or Bradley Marquez. I think the game will be a little farther apart than what people anticipate right here because Tech will limit West Virginia. I'm going to go with a wider score, Don, 42-21 Texas Tech.
Wow. If they score 42, that'll be impressive because I think Dana and those defensive coaches up in Morgantown are certainly want to bring the heat on the young quarterback playing on the road in what's, as we've said, the toughest road environment that the Tech team has faced so far. I think another key facet to this game will be how the Red Raider defense does containing Charles Sims, because you think way back in 2009, Charles Sims is a freshman at the University of Houston, had a really good game against the Red Raiders. He caught 10 passes for 122 yards, and then that just kind of set the stage for what was a very good career for him there for 3 years at U of H. Then he graduates, and now he has transferred to West Virginia to complete his career as a senior. He's had a couple of 100-yard games this year, but again, I was saying about knowing how good he was 3 years ago, I think Tech has to go prove that they can contain this guy. And I'm with you, though. I think the defense will do it well enough that Tech can get out of Morgantown with a win. I've got it 34-24.
There you have it right there across the board. I think a tougher game than what we let on when we picked it. This one was, I think from the moment the schedule came out, we knew this game was going to be one of the most difficult to predict, and it is the last major hurdle for Texas Tech before they hit the brutal part of their schedule. But right now they are in the lead in the Big 12 Conference up there with Texas and Baylor at the moment. Going to be a very fascinating November. But first up for Texas Tech, a trip to Morgantown to take on West Virginia. And of course, we're all going to load up in the old airplane Friday morning and head over to Morgantown. We'll have our Road Rage segment from the Morgantown, West Virginia campus, where you can check that out. Also, remember our other products up at LubbockOnline.com and RedRaiders.com. Of course, Don versus Twitter. He takes on another mass of your questions this week. You can see that. And check back tomorrow, of course, for our topics discussion with Krista Pirtle. Until that time, we're going to load it up, head it to Morgantown. We'll see you from the land of couch fires and John Denver. For Don Williams and Krista Pirtle, I'm Zach Long. We'll see you next time.